Hi, Richard Neal here from MyWorkpapers. Just a quick background. We're looking at recording a few videos with clients and also strategic partners on a number of things, including how they use MyWorkpapers, how they started their journey, where their journey's at now, how they're finding the impact in the application. Also during the period that we're in now with COVID-19, also hear what those experiences are and how technology has impacted on their practice and also what the decision making doing going forward. So I have today Paul Lodder. Paul's a partner in Sagars, a client of ours, and intro from you, Paul. Do you want to just give us a quick background on who you are and a bit about the business?
Yeah, so as Rich says, Paul Lodder here from Sagars Accountants. We are a one-firm office based up in Leeds. Team members approximately 100. I suppose our journey on the cloud really started around 4 years ago, where we started moving clients onto cloud-based products. And over the last sort of few years, we've been building that further and further to streamline more and more of our processes, but also clients' processes, so that we've got more and more now on a cloud-based system, which, you know, in current climate is actually been significant for us. Okay.
So when your journey with MyWorkpapers, you know, when did that start and how did you come across us?
Yeah, so our journey with you guys started around 4 years ago, and I was actually attending one of the accounting conferences. I can't remember which one it was, but you guys had a stand there. I actually spoke to yourself and one of your colleagues, and from there we started a trial process in terms of moving from our traditional paper files onto a cloud-based file. And since then, we've just built from there. I mean, I guess you're having similar conversations with other firms at the moment.
Yeah, we are. And so what have been the benefits that you've found by using our platform in the work environment that you're using it for? And I know we haven't consummated you across your whole practice yet, and we're trying our best to do that. But where you are using it in your practice, what have been the benefits that you've seen?
I mean, the biggest benefit for us is the fact that anyone can work on a file anywhere, whether it be at home, whether it be in the office, whether they need to access the file when they're on holiday, let's say, because a partner needs to double check something. So the big benefit for us is the fact it's cloud-based. Previously, everything being a paper file, the actual workflow was often slow because someone would do a paper file, then you'd leave the paper file on someone's desk to review. They may take it home. And, you know, that was just a disjointed and not a smooth approach. Now we have a very smooth approach whereby clients on Zero QBO, TB into MyWorkpapers, working papers done, and then onto the accounting system. So the fact it's all cloud-based is significant. The other real benefit for us is we're not printing out anywhere near as much as we used to. We're not having to pay for paper files. And that, you know, not only environmentally friendly, which is great, but it also is a cost saving in that regard as well. So for us, there's just been a lot of benefits by moving onto the cloud.
And what about with COVID-19? You know, what was the experience with the staff? Did they just continue working as they were in the platform, or how's that work for you?
That's been the great thing, that you know, the impact of COVID-19, the whole team working from home. The team have just carried on as before, but at the comfort of their own houses. And when a file's done, you know, using the workflows and the notifications within MyWorkpapers means that when a file's ready to review, the manager partner gets an acknowledgement to say file's ready to review. If anything, COVID-19 has demonstrated to us the importance of being a true, real digital firm, and everything we've already implemented, there'll be further things we want to implement going forward. And MyWorkpapers forms a real key part of that process.
Great. And just out of interest, and I know I've talked to a number of firms about the type of packages that they're offering for their clients. Has Sagars offered a COVID-19 package to help their clients? Have you bespoke anything particular as a service offer?
We haven't. I wouldn't say we've necessarily bespoke anything specifically, but what we're finding is those clients or businesses that hadn't moved onto the cloud, there's certainly a significant movement in terms of interest on how can they automate more of their systems. So our activity around app advisory work has increased significantly, and that is slowly becoming a new service line completely. So, traditional accountancy, do your accounts and tax, I would say we're actually moving towards IT consultancy as well, because of our knowledge around all the processes and how we can help them achieve more streamlined, more cloud-based process.
Yeah, it's like it brings me back to my memories from when I came out of Ernst & Young and started my own practice. This is 1990. We set up our young staff, our 20 to 30-year-old staff, and had them running around in client support vehicles that we had sign written up in the practice name, which was and no one was doing that in 1990. And we had them installing, desktop-based bookkeeping software because there was nothing like that. Everybody used to handwrite their invoices out back then. That's 30 years ago. So it's like the new wave now coming through. Are you pigeonholing, or not pigeonholing? Are you picking particular staff to work with those clients? Like, you're pushing it down and getting those younger staff involved in that work?
Yeah, so our graduates that we take on every year are probably getting more exposure to clients than ever before, and they're probably speaking to clients more than ever before, because they are getting involved in some of the setups, the conversions, but also the opportunities around bookkeeping, which is, a great opportunity for accountants now, because the technology allows us to do it in an efficient way. So the roles are definitely changing. The skill sets that accountants are after, I think, are going to continue to change. You always need accountants who are very technical, but I think increasingly more important, you need accountants who can have a good conversation with a client, hold a conversation, really start to, build rapport and understand what their challenges are and what their goals are, because that's where we can then really build on that and provide more of an advisory service rather than a compliance service.
Yeah, I was speaking to a client last week, and they'd taken our platform and had created a workflow to take the client from that conversion of a particular desk-based bookkeeping system of the client, which I won't name, and convert it into the cloud-based bookkeeping system. And so what they've done is they've created a workflow of, okay, this is how we're going to create and take the client from the conversion process, and here's all the steps they have to do. And so what they've done is created a workflow with checklists, and then so they can cookie cutter that across all the other clients they're converting over. And I thought, why don't we create that as a what we traditionally call a work paper pack? So again, our applications being used in ways that we hadn't planned for it, and the clients are taking the initiative to create, a workflow pack, if you want to think of that, specific to a client, and that's enabled them to have a process that is structured for that client implementation. So I'll share that work paper pack with you. I don't, because again, and we'll make that available to our clients, and I don't know if it's of interest to you, or whether you would have thought to use our application for that as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's really interesting, because I think often is the case for accountants, they're not sure where to start or what approach to take. So having a workflow in place that you can follow through means that you're always in control at each stage, and at each stage you're building on to what you've offered the client, and then ultimately at the end you've got this, everything set up perfectly, and you've got this core solution for them.
So what, when you use the, we're going through a process at the moment of looking at our messaging. when you bought, 4 years ago, you were looking for, digital work papers. Do you see us more as digital work papers? You touched on before the workflow, but if you looked at my work papers and what is it giving Sagars now? If you could summarize it in talking to another accounting firm that wasn't using us, how would you describe our product?
Yeah, I mean, for us, for Sagars, you're more than work papers. Work papers, yes, great on the cloud, but actually you give more visibility in terms of what is the stage at which a client's process is at. We can get a feel for if there's a backlog anywhere and in terms of where are we with these jobs? Are there a load of jobs sat with a manager waiting for review? So all of a sudden, we get a good feel for the status of all of our clients at any point in time. And some of the real benefits for that are if a team member's off ill, a manager's off ill, we can very quickly see what jobs have they got ongoing at the moment? Where do we need to pull in more resource to help them get through their backlog? And I think, as more and more things develop, it becomes a tool also in meetings with your PDF, the ability to write directly onto PDFs. So it becomes a storage point as well for keeping client notes and the ability to refer back to very quickly. So yeah, it's far more than just preparing your standard MyWorkpapers, records at the end of the day. It's that whole centralized system.
Yeah. Okay, Paul, great talking to you today. Thank you for your feedback, and see you in Leeds sometime soon, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Good speaking to you.
Thanks.